just took a little brain work. Get through, and I hope you checked them in the back. I wanted to show you something like on number 9. Okay, see how they're written out like this? You can write them that way when it's small numbers. But look at number 13. You had 100,000 plus 100,000 plus 100,000 plus 10,000 plus 10,000 plus 10,000 plus 1,000 plus 200 plus 10 plus 4. Okay, and if you added them up, that was 300,000 plus 30,000 plus 4,000 plus 200 plus 14. If you wrote it down this way, it might make it easier for you to get them, in the right column. So if it ends up being a gigantic number, you can do that. I'm glad we didn't have very many of those kind, and lotus flowers and all those things. But let's see. This one down here to me were the hardest to do, like number 47, because I couldn't remember if I was supposed to add or multiply. Like this was easy, the 4 times 1,000. But I wasn't sure what to do with that 0. So I just put it down there, and then 8 times 10, and then added the 1. So it's 2, and then you kind of do it like that. So that's how it turned out. Now, the reason that we were doing this was to help you get ready for what we're about to do. We're not going to do 4-2. We're going to skip it, and we're going to go over to 4-3. And it is very strange. I can still remember when I was in high school and I was taught this, and some of you may have never seen this before. So, and that is writing things in different bases. This is 4.3. We omitted 4.2. Okay. Now, in order to figure this out, we have to review how we write numbers in our system, the Hindu-Arabic system. If you have base 10, that's what we use, base 10. If we have a number like 123, okay, remember one of the first things we did, we said this is the ones column, this is the tens column, and this is the hundreds column, and then we did the decimal part over to the right. But if we had 123, this stands for 100 plus 2 tens is 20 plus 3 ones is 3, and that's how we get 123. Now, and you can see that things written like this, that's what we were doing in that other section. So it helps you by doing those. Let's say we have, 400, let's make that 4,562. Okay. Instead of writing it down in words, I'm going to put 1, and I'm going to put 10, and I'm going to get 100, and I'm going to do 1,000 over here. Now, if we wanted to write this out, that is 4,000 plus 5 times 100, 500, plus 6 times 10 is 60, plus 2 times 1 is 2. Now, and you think, yeah, I understand all that, we've been doing that for 100 years. But what we're going to be doing today is with a different base instead of base 10. And so you have to be real familiar with this before you go to another base. Okay, now, this column was the ones column. This column is the 10. This one is the 100, and this is 1,000. How am I getting from one column to the other? What am I doing there?
Multiplying by 10.
Right, we're multiplying by 10 to get from one column to the other. Now, the next thing we're going to do is a base 5. Okay, and I will write the number, like if it's going to be 22 in base 5, I'll put a little 5 down here. Okay, and when you get your answer, we're going to be changing from base 5 into base 10. And so I'll put a little 10 down there to show you that that's what we're working on. Now, this will be the ones column right here. Now, if I'm working in base 5, I'm going to say 5 times 1 is 5. This is the fives column. Instead of doing ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, multiplying by 10, I'm going to be going by fives. Ones column, fives column. This would be a 25 column. We'll do that in a minute. Now, in order to figure out what this is in base 10, I have to say 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so that is 12 in base 10. In base 10. This is what I'm trying to do, is change it from base 5, which is this number, into base 10. Now, you might think, what in the world? What has that got to do with anything? Okay, in a minute I'll show you base 2, and computers work with base 2. Anytime you're working on a program, the computer has to answer yes or no, and so it'll go either to the 1 or to the 0. Okay, column. Yes, exactly. Binary numbers. Okay, let's try another one with base 5 before we get something bigger. Oops. Now, let's say we've got a 342. Now, there's one thing, in base 10, I can't put a 10 in any of these places, can I? So if I'm in base 5, you won't see a 5 in there. Okay, this is the ones column. This is the fives column. This will be the 5 times 5 or 25 column. Okay? So in order to figure out what this number in base 5 is, I'll say 3 times 5 is 75, plus 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 times 1 is 2. Now, add all that up. Is that 97 in base 10? Okay. So 342 in base 5 is actually a 97 in base 10.
So all we're trying to do is find out what it is in base 10.
Mm-hmm. You're going from base 5 to base 10. Okay. Now let's try another base.
Oh my gosh.
Let's say we have a base 12.
Oh no.
Okay. Now, let's say our number is 42 in base 12. What will this column be? 1. What will this one be? 12. Okay. If I had another number, what would that one be?
134.
144. Okay. All right. But in this particular one, we don't need it. We just need the ones and the 12s column. Now, we do what we did up here. We multiply 4 times 12 is 48, plus 2 times 1 is 2, so that's a 50 in base 10. Okay. Another one in base 12. Let's say we have a 30 in base 12. Our first column is always 1 in every base, no matter what it is. This column will be 1. The next column is 12. Okay, so 3 times 12 is 36, plus 0 times 1 is 0, so our answer is 36 in base 10. Okay, here's another one. Let's say we have 234 in base 12. Okay, now, this column is a 1, this column is a 12, the next column would be 144, 12 times 12. Whatever your base is, that's what you're multiplying by. If it's 5, you're multiplying by 5s. If it's 12, you're multiplying by 12s.
But your answer will always be base 10.
Uh-huh. I think that's 288 plus 36 plus 4. And you've got to add them up. So I'm going to do them this way. Okay. I think that's right. Okay, and that's in base 10. Okay, so you kind of see what we're doing here. Now, I'll warn you now, this will make perfect sense while you're here. You can get the answers. You'll go home and try to work another problem. And you'll go,
Better watch that recording again.
okay, right, exactly. That is one good thing about this. But it's funny how your brain is just like it leaves you, you know. Okay, now let's look at base 2. Okay, now we will have a ones column, a 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 8 is 16, 2 times 16 is 32. So in base 2, you'll be multiplying each column by 2. Okay, so if we have something like this, okay, I don't even need all that over there, but these are your columns. So I have 1 4, I have no 2s, and 1 1. Remember, you're multiplying. 1 times 4 is 4, 0 times 2 is 0, 1 times 1 is 1, 4. So that would be a 5 in base 10. Okay, let's look at another one. Let's say we have a 4, a 2, and a 1. Okay, and our number is 101. Okay.
The way we work this, if we were to work it backwards, there's no way to get that number though, right? If we were to try backwards, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can go from base 10 and go backwards and write it in base 2.
You can work backwards and get 421?
You can put it in base 2.
Really?
Like that. Okay, this one, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 0, plus 1. Okay, oops, I did the same one. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's say we have an 8, a 4, a 2, and a 1, and we got 1101 in base 2. And we want to change it into base 10. We have 1 8, 1 4, 9, so it's a 13 in base 2. And like I said, unless you're going to program computers or something, you know, you won't ever have to use this. But it's just something to kind of expand your mind. Now I want to show you something else. Let's say we have 1, this is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 is 8, 2 times 8 is 16. Let's say we were going to count in base 2. You know, like with 10, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we have to do like that. This is the ones column, this is the tens column. So we got 1, 10, and no 1. Okay, then we do 11, 12, 13, and so forth and so on. All right, in base 2, this is a 1. How would I write 2?
3,
2.
10.
So I've got 1, 2, and no 1s. So that's a 2. How would I write 3?
Oh, gosh.
1, 2, and 1, 1. See how that's 2 plus 1 is 3. How would I write 4?
And I'll figure out
1 under the
2.
4.
1 what?
2 and, yeah.
What'd you say, David?
100.
Yes, okay. 1, 4, but no 2s or 1s. How would I write 5?
1 under the 4 and 1 under the 1.
Mm-hmm. 6.
I don't know what's going on right now. I'm scared.
You are changing it into literally binary
I'm
terms. I got you.
Okay, this is base 2, and I'm changing it into like base 10. I'm writing. Okay, here's 4, 5, 6. Now, how would I write 7? I have 1, 4.
1, 2, 1, 1.
Uh-huh. 4, 5, 6, 7.
So it's turning it
Good.
into literally a code.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can we go through this one more time?
Well, I cannot figure out.
I know, I understand. Okay, we got 2 of you. We're doing good. Okay, how would we write 8?
1 under the 8.
0, 0, 0.
0, 0, 0. I have 1, 8, but no 4s, no 2s, because so that's an 8. Okay, how would I write 9?
1, 0, 0, 1.
1, 0, 0, 1. 1, 8, and 1, 1.
When
Okay.
Killer was right here, she was. Oh, wait, that's That's not accurate either, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's a 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now, so what I'm doing here is just writing down how I would count to 10 in base 2.
When I was in the Army, we went through whatever happened if we ever got captured by the enemy, how to communicate with each other. We would turn the alphabet into a block. So the first block would be 1. If you wanted something, the third letter on the fourth block, you can go 4 more times, and then 1, 2, 3 over. So I got you.
Okay, right. Okay. How would I write 10? 1, 8. And what else do I need?
1, 2.
1, 2. Okay. So that's 8. Whoops, excuse me. 8, 9, 10. And that's it. Okay. Now, you're not going to have to count. You're not going to have to add them. You can also add, you know, base 1, base 2, and all that kind of stuff. We won't want to drive you crazy. Okay.
Who
Now,
this
let's
one
look.
more time?
Yeah.
Because like I'm like out there.
Okay. All right, if you've got 123, this is the ones column, this is the tens, and this is 100. This is in base 10. Okay, we understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got, so this would be 100 plus 2 times 10 is 20, plus 3 times 1 is 3. That's how you get 123. All right, if you're working with base, let's say we had base 4. We hadn't done that before. All right, we'd have a 1. The next one would be a 4. And then what would be next?
16.
16. Okay, good. So if I had a 1, 2, 0, and I wanted to say what that number is, that is a 16 plus 2 times 4 is 8 plus 0. So a 24. Okay. If I had base 5, okay, if I had a 3, 4, 2, this is always the ones. If it's base 5, that's what the next column is a 5. The next one you get by multiplying 5 times 5, or 25. Always, if you get lost and your brain just, you know, goes crazy, go back to base 10 and see how do I get from one column to the next. Okay. So then I've got 3 times 25, 75, plus 20, plus 2. So that's 97, I think. Okay. Base 12. Okay. If I have 1, 6, 5, or something like that. This is 1s, this is 12. And how do I get to that one? 144. Multiply by 12. So that's 144 plus 72 plus 5, and whatever that adds up to. Now let's add base 2 again. We'll do that one more time. Alright, we're going to add and base 2. This is just kind of an added thing to see if, you know, how it works. Alright, here's first column, 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. Alright, those are columns. Next would be 32, 64, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's 1. Now with 2, I can't put a 2 in base 2. You don't ever use the number, you know. So I would write that as 1, 2, and no 0. I mean, you know, no 1s.
Please.
So that's a
Can
2.
you explain this part that confused me.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. It's kind of hard.
Alright, so all you're doing is
Alright.
just adding and trying to get to right here. So say if you wanted to get to an 8, what would you do?
I don't know.
You don't know?
1, 8.
Yeah. 1, 8. Now if you wanted to get 16, what would you do?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's where I'm at right now.
1, 16.
Okay.
Just simplify, man. You kind of add it. If you can't add up to it and it equals that, what goes in the sequence, then that's just 1. Otherwise, you want to simplify it to 2 numbers adding together.
I'll just take your word for it.
The best way to think about it is in base 10. Okay, if I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I can't put 10 down there in one column, can I?
No.
Okay, so this is the ones column, this is the tens column. So if I'm gonna write a 10, I have a 1, 0.
Oh, yeah.
If I have 11, it's 1, 10, and 1, 1. If I have a 12, 1, 10, 2 ones.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's exactly what we're doing here. 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. We're just thinking about it a little bit differently. Here's a 1. I can't put a 2 because it's base 2. So I have to put 1, 2, and no ones.
Okay.
Now if I want to write 3, I've got a 2 and another one. So that's the 3. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. 4, how would I write 4?
You put 1 at the 4,
Mm-hmm.
and then put 0, 2, 0.
Good. Okay.
I got it.
We got 3 of us, okay. All right. If I want to put 5, 1, 4, and 1, 1. 4 and 1 is 5. Okay. If I want to put 6, 1, 4, plus 2 more, 4, 5, 6.
However you do it, you want to keep it to where it's just 2 ones in any of the sequence, right? To get the number that you need, right?
Well, you're just using ones and zeros
Yeah.
and whatever it adds up to. That's what it is. Okay.
So 7 would be 1 at the 4, and then 1 at the 2, and then 1 at the 1.
Good. Okay. Very good. All right. That's kind of hard to do, but
I'm glad
like I
I go
said,
to computers.
okay.
That's typical preaching.
I can still remember, like I said, I was in 9th grade algebra, and he put that on the board, and it was just like, whoa! I didn't know there was another base besides 10. It's so amazing. Okay, now we're going to work some problems together before we work them individually. Okay, so we're going to work on
I'm
one
here.
at a
And if I'm
time.
not here, we'll yell at her. Please help us, we're drowning.
Okay, let's do the first one. It's in base 5. Okay, so your first column is a 1. Your second column is a 5. Okay. Remember, you're multiplying. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 times 1 is 3. So it gives you an 8 in base 10, excuse me. 8 in base 10. Did you get it?
Which one, the second one?
Mm-hmm.
40 or 24 base 10?
Good. Okay. Is that what you got? Mm-hmm. Good.
What is it? It's the little blocks. Just
Base 10?
Mm-hmm. When you get to 5, you're changing to a different base.
Oh, wow. Screwed
It'll
up
be
now.
12 and 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you said that. That snuck up on me.
That's 50 base 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I got that.
Yeah,
That's
me
seven
too.
way wrong.
Yeah, me too.
Way wrong. 4, 3, 6.
I forget we can use a calculator.
Yeah, I was
I was like, she'll think I'm cheating.
No, help yourself.
And so, well, once we get to understand like how the numbers work out, like how to recount them, like on number 8, like I know that 1 and 0, and when the base is 2, is 2, so I can put 2 over. Yeah.
The first two numbers, and the 24 and the 12, you multiply those numbers together.
Which one are you on?
7.
7. Okay. Yeah, 1 times 44 is 144. 3 times 12 is 36. 7 times 1 is 7. Because if you look at base 10, that's what you're doing. You know, you're multiplying times 10 or times 100 or whatever. Got 'em?
Yes.
Okay. When you finish, then do these problems. This is on set 4-3. And check them in the back, see if you got them right.
I'm noticing that the higher the the higher the base, like for instance, like with when the base is 5 over here at 44, because this base is lower. If I'm trying to make it to 10, the number up here is going to be smaller, and then with 12, it's kind of the opposite effect.
Right. Yeah, they're just, did you get them all?
Yeah. Yeah, I got the same.
Did you get 3 of them?
No.
All right, when you do, it's right
Absolutely.
here. Okay. Yeah, just keep that one. The answers are up here if you need them. Okay. And then do those problems up there. And check them in the back. And if you miss one, then let me know and I can help you.
You get that on there.
You sure?
Yeah.
Thanks. buddy. Thank you.
Hi, Wayne, Janet. This is Dave.
That's what they're done.
The very first one is tricky because you're going to do that. '21 and '25, we didn't talk about how to do that.
Yes,
so
I'm
we'll
like-
see if you can figure it out.
Okay.
And there won't be any on tests like that.
Okay, that's good.
So depending on how can we solve it.
This is just seeing if you can figure it out. Just think about it a little bit. See?
Can you use your restroom?
Okay. I had to look up the answer first and try to work it backwards, but I think I got it.
Very good. I'm still working.
16.
Did you get the right answer on that? 25?
I did for 21.
Uh-huh.
I figured it out, but 25 is just, it's about got me in the
20.
fetal position.
Yeah, 25 was pretty easy, but 21 was easy, but 25 was terrible. Okay.
I kept getting
Okay.
235.
Okay, there's a method to do it. 635 and base 6. Okay, and this is number 25. Okay, if you take, if you've got like the 1s column, the 6 column, the 36, and the 216, and it said take the largest one and divide it into 635, you can use your calculator if you want to. Okay. All right, it'll go 2 times, and then you have 203 left over.
Wait, why would you have the 2 in the 216 area? Wouldn't it be in the 36 area?
Okay. What now? Okay, is it, you agree with that?
The highest number you can have in the 36 area would be a 9, and that wouldn't be enough to get it up to 630.
But you can't use a 9 because you're in base 6. You have to use things not less than 6.
Oh.
So, divided that, it went 2 times, you had 203 left over. So then you take 36 into 203, it goes 5 times, and you have a 5 there. And then you say how many times? 6 will go into your remainder. Okay, 3. And you have 5 left over. So what happens is this is 3 and this is a 5. Now 216 times 2 is 432, I think. Plus 5 times 36 is 180. Plus 3 times 6 is 18 plus 5. If you add all that up, I hope it adds up to 635. I just looked in the book at how to do it, but this will not be on the test. Okay, but your thinking was good, you know, on how many times that would go into there.
So I
And then
accidentally
take the
got
remainder?
21 right then.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I just could figure that one out by looking at it, you know. But this one took, I had to go back to the book and figure out how to do that because it's been 100 years since I had done that too. Okay. Now, next thing, this is it. Okay. These are review problems to help you study for the test. And it goes back adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. And it could be fractions, decimals, percents, whatever on the test, but it'll be similar to that. And let me see how many questions it has on it. But it's got 33 questions. Okay, let's see. You can stay and work while I'm here if you want to, or you can leave, whatever you want to do.
But we need to be able to, before we come back next season, we need to be able to master this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and are we gonna do it like last time where we have the lecture beforehand, before the test? Test at the end?
I'll only do if you have any questions. We'll go over this sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have any other questions, I'll answer those, and then we'll take the test.
Okay.
And may go ahead and go into the next chapter. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to go back and review everything.
Right.
Because I did that today.
Good.
Okay.
How many questions roughly will be on the test?
Someone tell him.
33.
33? What's that? Okay. So I was looking at this trying to understand the problem.
Right. Okay. All right, if you want to, and you'll be able to use your calculator.
On the test?
Mm-hmm.
Open notes?
No.
Okay.
Not on this one. A later one maybe, but not on this one.
And I had to swing even if I'm not missed.
Right.
And I've been trying that in every class, and just so far the only one that's working on is Wayne, and I hear that's already